So hello, this is gonna be our case study critique on the Greenville Power Center. Uh, we will be looking to answer the questions on how what kind of interactions are being made. Are they resilient? Are they healthy for um, the urban and environmental interactions? Um, and we'll be also looking at just how the details stack up against each other and how they come together to accomplish this goal of a sustainable city. Going to next slide.
So the MVRDV is a Netherlands-based architecture firm. It was founded by Wilhelmus Maas, Jacob van Ries, and Natalie de Vries. In 2008, the MVRDV firm won a competition to design a future town, which would be the sustainable city of Gwangyo, located 35 kilometers south of Seoul, South Korea.
Right. So the area that we're looking at is in South Korea, and over there, the area itself is undeveloped, and Gwangyo City is just um, put there artificially and just kind of forced into the environment there. According to the Copenhagen climate classification, it falls under DWA, meaning that it has cold winters and hot summers, or not cold winters. Sorry, excuse me. It is dry winters and hot summers. Um, it does have long winters as well, short summers, and it occasionally gets windy, and we'll see in the next slide after this. But um, also, its air quality is something to note that there is a lot of air pollution going in a lot all around there. Looking at how the air pollution meters read at 1.121 um, PM over there, which is quite unhealthy to live in. So what I did was actually I um, looked at the Windy app and I kind of examined how the winds move over time. And um, as you can see in the top left, it's usually like this most of the time, as there are no winds around here. There is occasional winds on the sides, but it occasionally gets no wind. In the second picture on the top right, the winds are coming and they just kind of come and pass over, as you see in the last picture over there. And I believe it is quite important to understand the climate and like the land over there. So because the thing is that this case is actually a plan, a kind of plan for a sustainable city. And in order to make a sustainable city, we would have to address the issues that could possibly arise from its current environment. So, looking at these, we'll see how um, the city what it would do to tackle these obstacles, possible obstacles. Excuse me.
So the basic design principles of the Gwangyo Power Center is that it's going to be a high density urban inner city complex. It's not going to be very big. It's about a tenth of the size of Cal State Fullerton. But the whole center is going to be built vertically, complete with public spaces, retail stores, housing, offices, and recreation. Um, all the vertical segments are interconnected on the lower levels, as you can see in the picture there. The terrace design with the plants on each level kind of allows for lots of greenery, ventilation, and improved water use.
More so on the architecture, I'm gonna be pointing out the obvious. As said before, it is pretty small over here, and um, that's gonna really show an impact on because it really is dense in that area, which will kind of come into contact with the environment as well. It is hilly and cone like, and the reason for that is that they intended to try and adapt the buildings to its environment, try to mimic with the environment. And the environment over there, it has a lot of hills and does have a lake right beside it. So by mimicking it, hopefully they would kind of negate some effects. Also, they did design each building to be a separate thing for anything that they want. If they want entertainment, they will go to this building, or if they want business, they will go to this building. And that's how they kind of divide um, the buildings up. Also, more on how you the topography. As you can see in the picture, there are some buildings that can be quite tall, which will catch some wind when it comes, and we'll see how that will um, affect the urban heat island effect essentially. So right, buildings like that would gain heat, uh, and that's what the power center is kind of made for. It has its own mitigation or irrigation, sorry, excuse me, internal irrigation system where it ventilates the heat and also manages the water I said before. But that would be great. It um, helps with the airflow and helps the energy and heat kind of pass through the city. Um, and another thing to know, I mean, it's obvious. It has a lot of vegetation. It's green, and that helps with the urban heat island effect as well as green vegetation would provide a lot of moisture for the area.
So I'm going to be talking about an issue that that's very common in urban areas, which is urban sprawl. This is when the urban areas are poorly planned and the spatial expansion is unrestricted. This means that it'll cover large areas of land. This is why the greater Los Angeles area looks like it does, as shown in that picture on the right. The Guangyo Power Center relies on the size and density of the green center to combat urban sprawl. Everything's kind of tucked into the center, and there's not really anywhere else to go. And having this massive green center kind of inhibits like dilapidated housing, which is commonly like associated with Detroit, how a lot of buildings are just completely run down and have not been kept up with. And part of the reason why urban sprawl is limited is because in 1971, the South Korean government created designated green areas in Seoul to limit urban sprawl. This means that the city can expand outwards as there's like a green ring around the city of Seoul. Right there, Gwangyo is marked on the map. As you can see, there's nowhere for it to expand outwards because of the green belt. There's just nowhere for urban sprawl to take place.
All right. So, as I said before, there was an urban heat island effect, and the city did try to mitigate that with the design of its own buildings. It is a vertical park, being the dense area it is, and there is energy being balanced as it tries to manage um, the way water is being used, as well as how how the sun comes down and radiates on the city. It's going to be managed by uh, the green rings on the buildings. So those are some concepts. Right. So on the surface, the Gringo Power Center does seem to answer most of the problems, the common issues that urban cities do have, where it's hard for them to mitigate the urban heat island effect, and urban cities being trapped with all that heat. Um, But in the Greenville Power Center, the benefits of having all this vegetation, the design, and the ventilation, it helps with that a lot. But it does have some limitations, as I'll explain here. So remember, this this power center is very little. It's only 11 kilometers squared wide, meaning that it's, as explained before, like the Fullerton size comparison. Um, and this is um, all made with or paid for. It all costs about $8 billion. And to put that to comparison, that little small size is twice the cost of Santa Ana. The city of Santa Ana was made with $3 billion. So there's definitely a cost issue going on there. Not many, if we're to put this into, try to actually get this to be a thing in real life and putting it in modern life, it wouldn't be very, a very attractive idea. I would say for that, having $8 billion for this size, for this scale, if we were to scale that up, it would cost way more for it. So it'll be hard to push that out there. And for actual practicality, I mean, if even if we build this 11-kilometer square scale city in Grengo, um, it wouldn't really solve all of the world's problems by having this little city. I wouldn't say it would be worth it, but for its own sake, it does seem to solve, or it does seem to be a sustainable city. But yeah, that's all I can really say and critique on it. So, in conclusion, going back to the questions, does it solve or does it show the sustainable, resilient, and healthy urban nature interactions? And I would say that it does show these types of interaction, as it is very friendly with um, its design, trying to mimic its environment, and how uh, how it has a lot of greenery going around it, providing moisture and oxygen. But yeah, it really comes to contrast with a place like Dubai, because Dubai was made in a very, very like uninhabited place, and it was just the city was just kind of forced there. Um, but this place did not show that. So how good was the plan? Um, was it good enough to solve the whole sustainability problem? On a larger scale, I would not, but overall, it is just an idea, and that's all I can really say for that. And it does solve, or it does show to be the sustainable city that we all dreamed of, but it can't really come into reality with those costs. Many people will not just want to buy that. But for this case study, um, there is evidence that shows it to have these good qualities. And here are the sources that we use, and that will finish our presentation.